Hey, I wanted to start today's vlog off outside on my porch. It's beautiful out here, warmest it's ever been in Milwaukee, and it's really just it's a good overall good day. And so I figured what I would try to do is go get the cup of coffee from Valentine. I believe sorry, I live on the south side, mad loud on the streets. But what I wanted to do was to see if I could go get coffee from Valentine. All right, gonna go get some coffee. Valentine. I keep calling Valentine. I'm pretty sure it's Valentine. Wish me luck. I hope they're not closed. That would be amazing. So I would have actually stayed. I just forgot to tell y'all this. I would have stayed home. Would have stayed home and made coffee, but I just didn't feel like it'd be as entertaining as this is, which is being able to go get some coffee and come back. Today I hope to do a beat breakdown of Cedric Hoard, one of Cedric Hoard's tracks on his album. I just found out how to screen record on my MacBook. I'm over the moon about it. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get some coffee. Okay, so yet another fail. I forgot, and on the first episode I called a lady too. I don't know why I forgot. They close at 1:00, and it is 1:32. I missed them by like a half hour. So next week I swear I'm gonna get this right, guys. But it looks like I'm gonna have to go home, get coffee, do it the old-fashioned way. You know the drill. Coffee sequence now. Hey, so last week I told you guys I wanted to do a beat breakdown. I really had asked you if you wanted me to, but I found out the super easy way to do it. I'm just gonna go over this beat that I did for Cedric Hoard on this album, Free Therapy. Dropping a link below. Also, I'll try to put a link at the end of the video somehow. But it's just really cool because a lot of people think that you can't sample in FL Studio. And then caveat too, like when I originally did this, I had my Alessi's MIDI keyboard. It's just I don't want to bring it out right now. Then you have to try to look at it, and as I look at it, but I just want to let folks know whoever thinks that you cannot sample in FL Studio, that it is more than possible. And so I think it's really cool. I want to show you just kind of like this. I'll show you some bits and pieces of this beat, but I wanted to show you. Let's see. This should work. All right, so what I was kind of going for on this was I don't know. I wanted it to be a little more like I wanted to use the sample as an instrument. So I got the sample from Cedric, and Cedric was like, "Hey, flip this." So I flipped it two ways. Actually, both beats are on this album, which is super dope, super dope. But this is Montclair sample, and so the beginning is not really that hard. So like, it's essentially just chopping the beginning of the sample. And so here's the all I care about is you. Right, so that's the first part. That again, not that complicated. This next part is where it kind of gets a bit fun. when you chopping samples, I heard actually DJ Dahi, a producer, big famous producer, kind of say it this way. It's well, he said three things. So he said when you in the chop, there's like three ways to kind of look at it. He said there's the perfect loop, there's the reverse, and then there's the mix of the both. And so in this case, when I was working on this, I was just kind of figuring that I can kind of do more, like I can create the perfect loop out of things that are already in that sample. So this the first kind of loop that I have. All right, so we're gonna go on a piano roll so I can kind of locate it. So it's marker 70. So I pretty much I have two things. Well, a few things. So this is the bass part, right? So it goes. So again, that's not really that hard. That's just those two parts that are in the sample right here, like later in the sample. Or is it? Yeah, right here. Right here. I could have probably tried to do something else, maybe like. I could have did it a few ways, but I was trying to kind of make it a little more wavy and less like sample choppy. The other thing that's really cool, when you have a sample, don't try to just chop one, or this is my opinion, I try not to just chop one area and kind of leave it as is. I like to pick things out of the sample to help complement the part that I chopped. So like I created a different thing. This is called phone because I had like a phone effect on it. And so like little pieces in the sample, right? This is what they sound like. Right? And so that along with this is a really good the sample was the most complex thing. So we got your typical 808. Oh wait. So here we go. So that's the little bass line for the beginning intro. That's the intro. That's the beat. Try to do some interesting things with the hi-hat. Just a little roll, like a little snare triplet roll. Not even, it's just triplet, not even. A little pitch down, a little hi-hat kind of step down pitch. That helps like when you're creating those hi-hat loops, especially for these kinds of beats. You don't want to just be tit 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 without it have not, like I'm a mix. Some people hate their hi-hats going all over the place. I'm not that kind of person. Also we got the shot. Love rim shots. Love it. Got this hi-hat. This little like wet. It's like an actual hi-hat from like a drum kit. Right? And then the kick. Not really that crazy. Little snare roll to add in the middle of the beat. Love those. I was gonna add this piano part in, but it just wasn't my jam. This is for the little breakdown that's in the middle of the beat. So with pianos, instruments, and stuff like that, I have a MIDI keyboard. So what I try to do, because I'm far from a proficient piano player, I'll take maybe a chord that I like or can play and play it, like record it, like, and so that the MIDI picks up the velocity of it, and then I might copy it and then move around notes in my piano roll. That's kind of like my jam. That's that's how everything kind of gets to sound alive, even though I'm not necessarily any sort of like pianist. So this is for that second part because I wanted a different flip. Right here, oops, not that. Right here, it goes. Let's flip it myself. Sorry. Oh, I forgot that for the breakout. This is the breakout part that I layered with that piano. So anyways, yeah, that, and then there's... If you guys want me to do this on a more frequent basis, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to incorporate them into the vlogs. But if you want like tutorials on different FL Studio components, or how to chop, or what you should chop, or where to get sounds from, or where to, where to buy them from, or whichever the case may be, let me know. But yeah, bigger thought for the end of this vlog, and I don't want to go on a super duper rant, is, going into ministry, one of the things that I always have to think about is, what are my liberties? What am I free to do? What am I not free to do? What is unwise? And to be honest with you, it's not something that I'm far from like thinking that I have it figured out. But I know two scriptures that always help me, guide me in everything and anything, even in being in ministry or being outside of ministry or wherever you are. And the first one is 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. Paul talking to the church of Corinth. And he says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be dominated by anything. Food is meant for the stomach, and the stomach for food, and God will destroy both one and the other. The body is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. So that's one scripture, and thinking about how Paul is saying that just because something is in the realm of even what's legal, maybe it's not even helpful for you. Or maybe it's sinful for you, right? And so I think in looking at these things, and again, I'm no perfectionist or perfect in it, but again, I want to dialogue with you about these things because I struggle with it. I think about it all the time. But he's saying that, hey, just because it's within the realm of the law don't mean that it won't get you screwed up in the end. Those things might make you be apart from God. Just because you have the liberty to do it doesn't mean it is the right thing to do. Another thing that I always think of, and there are countless scriptures, but this is a really important one. I think about what Jesus says to his disciples when they ask him who the greatest is. And Jesus is always good at like flipping stuff. And he says, and then I'll just read this bit. So that's Matthew 18. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And calling to him a child, he put him in the midst of them. And they said, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. But he also says, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble or to sin, it will be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the ocean. Strong language, but that's also something that I always have to consider is just because you can doesn't mean that it won't affect another person around you, a believer or a non-believer, or somebody who loves the Lord or somebody who is agnostic. Your actions have an effect on people. It reminds me of the similar scripture in Proverbs. It talks about how having a good name is better than even any riches or gold, your reputation. And so, like, how am I causing others to stumble? How am I, right? It could be maybe, right? I'm a person. I don't think that the Bible supports drinking as a sin, but it supports drunkenness as a sin, right? I don't believe that it supports curse words as sinful, but I believe that it definitely talks about, the Bible definitely talks about how we should love our neighbor, and again, and also about how we should not allow the little ones, or in the metaphorical little ones around us, to stumble. And so maybe your words might not be sinful inherently, or at least from your perspective, but if they cause someone else to stray or be affected by it, then that's definitely something that you should consider. And I'm just bringing up the two big hot topic items, like drinking and cursing or whatnot. Or maybe it's rap music. I love all music. I love rap music. I don't, when I came to know Christ, I did not have a come to Jesus moment where I threw away all my non-Christian. See, that's just not who I am. I don't believe that the Bible supports that, unless it is something that, again, causes you to stumble, causes you to sin. That's a whole different story. But I never felt like that. But at the same time, as I'm navigating this rap space, and the people that I collaborate and work with and I talk to, who are in different circles that may not be Christians, or this isn't their lifestyle, you know what I mean? And so it's figuring out how to do all these things and give God glory, and not abuse my liberties, and not abuse what maybe it's not even sinful for me, but if it caused someone else to sin, then that's a sin. And so it's just being mindful. It's about being considerate. Like, it don't matter what I think. It don't matter what I have on my mind or what I got to say, stuff like that. Like, it's not that important. Like, I would rather, if God said, and God forbid, but if God said that coffee is forbidden in order to allow others to enter the kingdom of heaven, or hey, coffee is what causes others to stumble and grow apart from me, if that was a thing, then I would have a hard time. But it's the obvious thing is to throw away the coffee, put it away, and I think it's throw away the coffee. I might name that. That's the name of the vlog. Look at that. That's the moral of the story, right? Don't be caught up in yourself. Don't be caught up in what you want to do and how you can do it, and how important it is for you to have access and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's about what's giving glory to God. It's about what's bringing others closer to God, and that's what we should be fixated on. That's what we should be working towards. All right. Peace.